Hey Rachel, how you doing? I've got your work up right here. I've also got your writing up right here. So I read through this. Everything's making good sense. Um, Sounds like you're not particularly sold on this, and I'm not either. So I'm going to address that. And I don't mean that to sound discouraging. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have just blurted that out. But I don't see this as being specifically relevant to a lot of the outcomes and objectives associated with personal branding. I'll describe that all in 1 second. But let's go ahead and take a look now. I've got your actual original logos up because I want to do a couple of things here. One thing, now the reason I say this isn't going to work is because now watch this logo. Remember, one of the main things, attributes of any successful logo is that it is scalable. That means it looks as good this big as it looks this big, right? So we do a little test, and I can do this, just mimic this, and the test is looking at the logo from a distance. We can mimic that simply by zooming out. Now, I want you to watch these and watch what happens when we zoom out. Right? They fall apart. They disappear. They're no longer legible at all. They're not recognizable. The R is not recognizable. The word design is not readable, and Bolin is not readable. Now, this is still readable and recognizable, right? So this would be a better example for a scalable logo than this. Let's zoom back out and let's continue. I think this, I don't see this as being effective in our particular case. You don't want to ever include an image, a picture, a photograph in a logo, because that's a raster image made of pixels, which means it won't be scalable. If you try to scale this up, that's going to fall apart. Okay, I think this Bolin design is interesting, but the mark itself is just, it's really super primitive. It doesn't look like it's really finished to the degree I think it should be. So it's got potential, definitely. Um, One of the things I would recommend is branding yourself as Rachel Bolin Design or Rachel Bolin Graphic Design, not Bolin Design, not uh, Rachel Bolin Design. But I think the best and most optimal point configuration at this point is to include either an initial with your first last name and then the discipline, or a monogram. So your initials are RB, Rachel Bolin. So if you can create a logo that consists of RB, and then the configuration would be RB with Rachel Bolin Graphic Design. So if you take a look at this example, we can see here's the logo, right? Here's the monogram, then here's the name, and note the name is more prominent than the discipline. And the reason for that is because the order of hierarchy should go like this. It should go brand mark, then the name, and then the discipline. Okay, that's why this is much more bold and larger than this, and the whole those are, and then this is a little larger than that. So we can follow the logical order of hierarchy therein, right? So think about that. What I would like to see you do is I would like to see you create a logo. I'm sorry, a monogram or just the initial R. This will work if you can get this really complete. This will work. So you have R, then next to it you have Rachel Bolin Graphic Design. Okay. Now I do not recommend stroking letter forms because it actually changes the shape of letter forms. Professional designers very rarely, if ever, stroke letter forms. I don't ever, because I think it does a disservice to the typeface designer in that stroking typeface, and stroke is an outline like we see here and here. And it actually changes the shape because it forces the line to be placed either inside or outside the contour line or on the contour line. Either way, it affects the interior stroke or the counterform associated with the negative space around the letters. Okay, so for those reasons, we do not recommend stroking letter forms. Okay, and then we can see in this design that this logo right here is just really super frail, and this design, this type here is a little bit more bold. So it's not a good match because they're not stylistically similar. I would beef this up a little bit, increase that stroke size, and really try to get this to get those curves there so they're perfectly organic, and there's no little hiccups in those. So, but I think this could work. Okay, so think about that. Think about your approach, and let me know what you think. I would like to see. I mean, if you're stuck on this, if you really want to use it, I mean, go right ahead. Okay, I think that there's a much more versatile approach in the way that I had just described that. So think about that, and then what I'd like to see you do is I'd like to see you just pick one logo, all right, and bring it to completion. So if you want to continue on this, which I don't recommend, go ahead and bring it to completion. If you want to work on the configuration I was talking about with either initial or a monogram in addition to the design, the name and design. I would not use Bolin design. I would definitely use your first name to make it a little bit more personal. Okay, so go ahead and take my recommendations and try to work out a logo based on what I've said and what you believe to be the most potential and has the most potential in moving forward. And go ahead and resubmit. When you resubmit, just submit the one that you want to that you've adjusted and you want to move forward with, and we'll make additional comments and recommendations. Okay. All right, Rachel. Great job. The most important thing at this point is to let me know if you have any questions at all. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.